Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan here to the Rocks and Stocks News Show. We've got one of our constant guests on the show, Ewan Downey, whose i-80 Gold is a sponsor. And it's not just because they're a sponsor that they're on regularly. It's really about all the news you guys put out. It comes out hard and heavy, and today was another great news release from Ruby Hill Project in Nevada. Ewan.
Yeah, no, we had some more great results, but I think we're regular because I think we're a little unique when it comes to mining companies in that we're in the process of working on our plan to develop three gold mines at once. And not a lot of junior companies can say they're developing one mine at one time. So it's a pretty aggressive plan that we have to build what we expect will be one of the largest producing gold companies in the United States. And so with that comes a lot of activity in the background and constantly releasing new results.
Yeah, and like today's numbers, 9.5% zinc, over 114 meters. Did I read that right?
Yeah, that's our southmost step out in the East Hilltop discovery. That was a discovery we made about a year ago. We drilled a few holes into it, but we didn't have the ultimate setup to drill it off because the southern portion, if you recall, between Hilltop and Fad wasn't permitted for exploration. So it's
Right.
a big 2 kilometer area without uh, any drilling into the what we believe are the primary structures. And we got those permits in the third quarter of last year, built the roads, built the drill pads, and started drilling. And immediately, obviously, our southmost step out is in terms of width, is by far the biggest intercept. And what's really interesting, in my opinion, about that intercept is the high grade copper we saw in two zones. And I think in previous uh,
Interviews.
meetings we've had together, you talked about, there's that deep anomaly. We've always believed that the Ruby Hill system is somewhat complex. People say, well, what are you drilling now? Because we have we have two gold deposits, we have multiple base metal or polymetallic deposits, including CRD and skarn. And we thoroughly believe that this is part of a larger porphyry system,
Yeah.
similar to like Bingham Canyon across the border in Utah, and the Robinson district not too far away in Ely are actually copper mines today. But they started as CRD mines, and the copper mines were built later. And we thoroughly believe that somewhere around the Ruby Hill district is a major porphyry. And that porphyry, given the grades of the CRD and the skarn and the gold that we have around here, could be really truly a world-class copper deposit. And it's not priority number one. Priority number one is developing our three mines, but in the back of our minds, it's something that we believe should be there. It's where is it? And as you know, these things can be a little elusive.
Well, and it's not pie in the sky. I mean, that's the model of these CRDs. They come off of a porphyry, and you get CRD or even epithermal mineralization and skarns, and you've already got the skarn, you've got the CRD. That's really interesting to start to see some sniffs of copper because you might be getting close to the heat engine, and that's basically what it is, folks. The heat engine for the CRD and the skarn mineralization is a porphyry. So you start getting copper in there, and maybe it'll help you vector into where to look for it, Ewan.
Definitely, we think that's the possibility. It's, the bigger geological
Question.
concept for this property is somewhere, hopefully on our ground, is where the larger porphyry system is. But as I said, when you have a 7-8 gram gold deposit and a 10 to 12% skarn deposit, zinc, and a very high grade or multiple very high grade CRD deposits, looking for the next one is not priority number one. But we definitely think that this is a property that will host additional mineralization as we drill. We followed up historic geophysics with some of our own more recently. We're waiting for those final results. And on the back of that, we believe we'll identify new targets to drill and continue on our success of discovery that we've had here in the last 18 months.
And when you start getting those big, thick intersections of the mineralization, the boys got to be starting to rub their hands about the possibility of where did all this come from? Because that's a huge intersection.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, one of our intercepts we released about 2 months ago in Blackjack too. We saw similar big 100 meter plus intercepts in the Blackjack skarn zone. So we know that both zones in places have big blowouts. They're both deposits which occur along the same contact of the intrusive, the Graveyard Flats intrusive, are completely open along strike. And there is some possibilities that the Blackjack and the East Hilltop, where we released results today from East Hilltop, will actually join up as we continue our drill program. And in that case, we believe we're on to a very significant, what we believe is going to be a world-class zinc skarn mine. Never mind the CRD and the Carlin type gold that we're drilling.
Wow. And, when you think about all of these deposits in such close proximity, you would think that, it stands to reason that there's a big plumbing system, big heat engine under there, and it's probably not far away. I mean, if you get those kind of intersections really distal to something would be unheard of.
Yeah, it's a little unique, I think, at Ruby Hill. We have questions about people saying, you explain this to me, like I'm a geologist, like, I don't really understand why all this mineralization's there. And if you look at, say, Robinson not too far away and Bingham Canyon across the border in Utah, Bingham Canyon's one of the world's top
Biggest.
copper porphyry deposits. I think it's been mined for 100 years now. But the skarn deposits were quite distal there. They were located in the Tintic district, so quite distal to where the larger porphyry
But
was
did they
discovered.
have the intersections and the grades that you're seeing in your skarn?
Yeah, the one comparison, people might say, oh, Bingham Canyon, you're comparing it to Bingham Canyon. But if you look at the Tintic district, which was the original discoveries, the original mines that led to finding Bingham Canyon, the grades of the deposits are quite similar to what you see in Eureka. And in fact, other than, I think, some of the deposits in Greece, like where El Dorado has, there's very few CRD districts with the level of gold that you see in Eureka and Tintic. And so that's what really struck us, is these CRD deposits at Eureka are so high grade, especially with the addition of the high grade gold, so similar to Tintic. But and Tintic was, like I said, led to Bingham Canyon. But the Tintic district was quite distal. It was up to 50, 100 kilometers away.
Wow.
What's really different about, and even the Robinson mine that's being mined today, which is a porphyry copper mine in Ely, I don't know, it's about 50 miles from Ruby Hill. Originally, that was CRD mining in that area, and it led to the porphyry discovery. And again, those were more distal. So when we see FAD and Hilltop and all the historic mines, they're sitting pretty close proximity, and we know there's a couple of intrusive centers, Graveyard Flats and the Ruby Hill intrusive. And typically what feeds it is deeper in these systems. So you get a deeper porphyry that fed these mines, and you find the upper part. But you also find the sediment hosted distal disseminated gold deposit, which is Mineral Hill, right beside the CRD. And then the Blackjack and East Hilltop skarn zones are right beside the CRD. So it's a little unique, and all of these styles of mineralization occur in a cluster right there around the Archimedes
Right
pit.
beside each other.
And it's like, so is the plumbing system right there underneath is the question, or is it 50 kilometers away. So that's what we're eventually planning to find out, and hopefully it's right here, and that's what we suspect, but don't want to get carried away right now.
Carried away. Well, I mean, with all those styles of deposits in such close proximity to each other, and the overprint with the high grade gold, and thick intersections. I mean, look at some of those thick intersections you hit on the gold, on the Carlin stuff. I mean, it's pretty spectacular. It suggests to me anyways that there's probably a big heat engine and plumbing system underneath all this.
Yeah, right beside where we drilled today is the Ruby Deeps deposit. And we only drilled two holes in the Ruby Deeps this year. Both hit. And the south step out that we drilled was, catching me off guard, but I think 6.9 or 7 grams over 50.9 meters with an 8+ gram intercept over 24 or 25 meters. So that system is wide open as well. And these are not just, your high grade skinny intercepts. These
Yeah.
are big deposits we're drilling, big widths, which should lead to lower mining costs. And we're pretty excited. Ruby Hill has definitely moved up to be our flagship asset because of the combination of gold and polymetallic mineralization.
It's pretty incredible too, when you think about it, that you've put that model in your presentation showing the underground workings. And like you said, you go this way, you got a Carlin, you go that way, you got a CRD, you go over there, you got a Skarn, and that's the reality. That's not promotion.
Yeah, it's the reality. We're drilling these deposits are so close together that when we go underground, we expect to be drilling from underground in at the end of this year or into next year. From underground, we'll have a drill probably set up drilling skarn mineralization, a drill set up drilling CRD mineralization, another drill in another place drilling off Carlin gold. And I believe it is the only place in the world that you'll find that opportunity.
Well, if you find any others, let me know, because I want to start talking about them as well. They're hard to find you. And
Yeah.
well, I guess the guy's got to be putting all this into the model and seeing these thick intersections of high grade mineralization and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And I guess with the geophysics, it'll help to put the puzzle together more as well.
Yeah, geophysics is a good tool. In my opinion, it works a little better in VMS or volcanogenic massive sulfide deposits
IP,
than it does for Carlin. I'm not Carlin, CRD type deposits, because they can be a little more poddy. There's a lot of pods of mineralization, so the anomalies you see are usually a bit smaller than what you see in the big VMS system. But CRD deposits are, Mexico is, I think where you are, is famous for them.
yeah.
And they are very extensive, quite drill intensive, but typically they can be very high grade. And the ones in the Eureka district are amongst the highest grade you'll find anywhere in the world.
And it's really just an extension of the rocks down in Mexico, keep going up into Nevada. They don't care about borders, those rocks.
Yeah, Nevada's really been overlooked in terms of its base metal, but even more the CRD potential. And even, we obviously know there's that potential in Arizona as well because of Arizona mining that was taken over by South 32 a couple of years
Absolutely, yeah.
ago was a major CRD discovery. So they're there, but more people typically in Arizona look for porphyry coppers, and in Nevada, there's more emphasis on looking for Carlin type gold. So these other types of mineralization are often overlooked in these districts, but they have equally as good potential to host a lot of these in the area.
Now, monsters like Santa Elela down in Mexico, and
Yeah.
that's what's worth looking for, and that creates an opportunity, Ewan, because you've always run the company with an open mind, your whole career, all your companies, Wolfden Resources 1.0, Premier Gold, and now you take the data and run with it and see where it takes you. And so far, Ruby Hill is taking you into a hell of a situation there.
Yeah, we acquired Ruby Hill for the Ruby Deeps Carlin deposit. That was the primary initial interest, but we bought it from Waterton. It wasn't like a $2 million deal, so it was an expensive acquisition. And when we did the due diligence, we saw the potential to have this massive base metal deposit that Homestake and Barrick, being focused entirely on Carlin gold, truly overlooked. They actually drilled the Blackjack deposit, both of them, but didn't develop it. And it was wide open for expansion. So when we did our due diligence, it was really that base metal potential we saw that was this actually may be a bigger base metal or polymetallic project
It's
than a
kind of
gold project.
surprising because if you look at Google Earth and you look at a certain direction, you can actually see a big alteration zone right on that eastern side of the pit. How do you not pay attention to that?
It's that alteration is within the graveyard flats intrusive, which wouldn't be conducive of a Carlin type gold deposit. So it was just overlooked. And the Upper Hilltop discovery, which was our initial CRD discovery, we hit that. Um, I wouldn't say by mistake, but we were pre-collaring with RC for a core hole to test the lower CRD horizon. And we went through massive sulfide mineralization. So we twinned it with a core hole, and it was, in my memory, one of the highest grade intercepts that has come out of Nevada in a long time. And we're like, well, Barrick and Homestake had to have drilled this because they did a lot of drilling around the pit to see if they could expand the pit. And we found that some of the drill holes in that area that weren't drilled to the depth that were drilled, they were mainly looking for expansion of the open pit. In the drill logs was noted sphalerite and galena, so lead and zinc, but they didn't assay for it.
Oh,
So they were just assaying for gold. And um, so we've gone back through all their drill data as well and said, where else did they drill sphalerite and galena? And maybe we should pop a hole over there as well.
some free data there. Why
Yeah.
not? You know, you and just a couple of days ago, I was talking to a broker friend of ours, and we were just talking about how incredible the story of i-80 Gold is. And there's not really many holes you can poke in the company. The only one that I hear that, maybe you want to address is that people say, well, they're trying to develop three mines at the same time. Nice problem to have, in my opinion. But how you must get questions like that, Ewan, and how do you respond to that when people say that sort of stuff?
Um, I think it's just the narrative. It's the narrative against the gold sector has become, I think in the last 2 years, has been near at all-time lows. So I believe that we've had unparalleled success
Absolutely.
on 3 projects. We're
If you
drilling out.
purely look at the truth machine, that is without a doubt.
Yeah, so it's sitting there drilling what we believe are 3 world-class deposits. Um, for instance, National Bank analysts published a note a couple of weeks ago about our underground drilling, infill drilling of the South Pacific Zone being 22 grams per ton. That's unheard of. And the results we put out today from Ruby Hill are good, but it's a company that has 3 truly high grade, turning into what I believe will be world-class deposits in one junior company and trying to build 3 mines at once. And we're doing it in an environment where people aren't paying attention to mining. So I would say in some ways we're being penalized by the market for our success.
Right, right. Well, that penalty doesn't usually last for very long when you get the kind of results you have in your drilling, and also you're not suffering from developing a mine where you have to re-permit them and take a long time in the development discount window.
Yeah, I'd say the 3 biggest risks in mining are acceptance. So what jurisdictions approve mining, because a lot don't. And in the United States, there's a lot of states that won't even allow exploration. So the one of the biggest risks, I think, especially in today's environment, is geopolitical. So, you know, look what happened to Kinross in Russia. They took away their mine. Look at what happened recently to Lundin Mining in Panama and one of their largest operations, and that affected Franco-Nevada as a royalty company. So geopolitical risk is a major risk in our industry. So finding jurisdictions that are actually what you call safe or deemed to be safe, and Nevada is currently ranked #1 in the world. So I think we've checked that box. And another major risk in mining is permitting, because once you find it, it's depending on where you are, jurisdiction, how long is it going to take to actually get a permit, or can you get a permit? Because there's often instances where I could give you a dozen where they're either having a lot of difficulty or they can't get a permit to build their operation. So those are two of the major hurdles to building an operation. And where we are in Nevada, every project is a brownfield mine site with grid power, roads, um, fully permitted or on their way to be fully permitted. So I think we've really checked two of the major boxes in terms of risk. And I think the third biggest risk is companies, because mining's pretty capital intensive, how do you finance it? And I think that's what we're being penalized for, is because we are a capital intensive company saying we're going to build 3 mines at once, and market's going great projects, and so that's been
How
a
are you
struggle.
gonna do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of got something in the works. You've publicly announced that you're talking to a unnamed potential partner at Ruby Hill, actually. So that kind of semi-answers that one question, especially with Ruby Hill.
Yeah, definitely help. It's in a company like ours, it's you always want to hold 100% of everything and control your own destiny. To be a major mining company, for the most part, they try to be operator, controller of their own destiny. The partnership that we're negotiating right now with the third party to join us at Ruby Hill did two things. One, it brings in needed capital to help develop our project, and helps to de-risk that part of the equation. But I would say, and we've used streams and prepays, et cetera, to help fund to get to where we are. And ultimately, you don't want any streams or royalties or prepays. You'd love to just do things 100%, because at the end of the day, that's where you're building the biggest value. But when markets are tough, you have to look at options and say what's most realistic for us to succeed at the end of the day, and that's what we're working on.
Well, and sometimes 1 + 1 can equal 3. I mean, look at Newmont and Barrick. They work together.
Yeah, they actually surprisingly came together in Nevada, and I think it works quite well. So we're optimistic. We feel the party that we're working with is very credible. Um, if you were looking for a partner, it's the partner you want. And
Partner of choice, good.
yeah, so that's kind of where we put it. And
And they
but
let
you're
you keep your destiny in your own hands because you'll be the majority owner.
majority owner and operator, and that's something that was pretty critical for us. If we could find a partner, that would be the preferred one. So we went with that choice, that this is the route we want to go. This is how we want to pursue the development of our projects, and now it's get that deal closed, get our other financing in line for continued development, and then at the end of the day, we expect we're going to be like I said, our target, and we publicly put it in our presentation, is become the second largest gold producing company in the United States.
Well, I've been in this business for 30 years. I've watched a lot of success stories, and one thing that's common, whether you're looking at Peter Monk or Rob McEwen or Robert Friedland, they get assets and they just move forward no matter what the market is doing, and it turns out to be the right decision. And you know, when you've got the truth machine speaking to you the way it is at all your projects, what are you going to do? Stop drilling a great project?
Yeah, I guess that's the dilemma. It's like, do you just stop and wait for better days, or do you put your head down and say, by the time we hit better days, we're going to be in a great position, we're going to profit from it.
Yeah, then everybody will be saying, well, you should have kept on working on it because now it's the great time. So that's why you keep driving forward, and you guys are doing a great job. Ewan, and that truth machine is speaking to you.
It is.
All righty, let me wrap it up. And as always, thanks a lot, Ewan, for coming on the show to give us some insights into the news release as they're fresh off the printing press.
Yeah, well, I expect I'll be on shortly because we've been drilling FAD since we took it over. So the next press release we'll be putting out will be the balance of the 2023 drill results out of FAD that will go into the resource estimate. And we also completed a surface drill program to tighten up the deeper part of the South Pacific zone. And we released 3 holes, but we actually drilled 12. So the balance of those holes will be coming out here shortly as well. And as you know, we've been drilling Cove into year end and from underground, and those results will be coming. So I'm expecting you'll see 3 pretty solid news releases coming out in the next month or so.
Awesome. Well, I always look forward, and I know you're on a bit of a tight schedule, but we're going to have to talk about gold next time, maybe when you have a few more minutes. But keep up the great work, Ewan. It's quite incredible to watch. Not only the 3 projects, but just what alone is happening at Ruby Hill.
Yeah, well, thanks, Al. It's great to be on your show, and as you know, before the show, I had said I'm on a bit of a timeline tonight, so I'm going to have to jump off. Thank you very much for having me on.
Have a great night.
You too.
There you go, folks. That's the latest results from i-80 Gold. You know, quite incredible, this project that they have called Ruby Hill. They've got on the west side of an old pit, they've got a Carlin, high-grade Carlin system. To the south side of that pit, they've got the CRDs. To the east side of the pit, they've got the skarn. All of these are high grade. And then about 2.5 kilometers away, they acquired the FAD deposit, and all of that runway in between is open, and they're doing more work on FAD as well. So yeah, it's, no matter how you look at it, they've got an incredible problem trying to drill 3 great projects all at once and develop them into future mines. But I think ultimately that is the way to go for them, and that it will lead them to become a much bigger company of the future. And as always, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors, go to their website. They've got tons of information on there for you to look at, the models, the underground working plan, where they're at all their projects, and stay tuned for that upcoming news they have. And one of the ones that is upcoming probably within the next couple months is the partnership deal that they're working on for the Ruby Hill project to mine it. And so, yeah, stay tuned. We'll be doing a bunch more of these with i-80 Gold. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.